Columbus yesterday, and there were 7 or 8 counties that had most all renewals, and we all passed.
Oh,
But
good.
it was such a relief for everybody, so thank you, I
Sure.
appreciate that.
Of course.
So should start with my open agenda if you're ready?
Sure.
Okay, so I presented a packet of my August and September data report. There is an error on first page relevant to food stamps, and it says the amount issued was 566,000. It should be 1 million.
I
Yeah.
know, I'm thinking that has to be a typo.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So 1,566,000, so I apologize on that. But the numbers relevant to Medicaid, well, Medicaid's not out, but childcare has been pretty consistent, and as you see, our individuals and families on cash assistance consistent. Then on the second page, the last time I met, I told you we were gonna, because last time we talked about the bridge contract with Scenic View, and then also now we have drivers of our own, so we added those rows about Scenic View and drivers. So Scenic View hasn't started helping us at this point, but you can see like our Ohio Means Jobs driver in September had 46 trips, and then our public assistance driver 25, and so then again, we had more calls regarding our net program. So as the word gets out, more people are utilizing public transit.
So you now have 2 full-time drivers, right?
Yes, and the one, which one is also working with the project with Paris in the county jail. So that's they poor things. They're working a split shift because it's an afternoon shift. So they're taking the gentlemen to Paris and then picking them up around midnight. But that's working out, and we foresee that being an ongoing type of project. Now we're gonna be able to use opioid grant 3 funding to supplement wages from that grant, so we're appreciative of that. So that'll help for that salary as well. And that's new money. We haven't seen that yet. Oh yeah, it's here now.
It's here, yep.
Yeah, spend it. So, customer service calls and public assistance, a little bit of a reduction, as well as individuals coming in.
Wow.
Yeah, and then benefit recovery, they're calculated more in dollar amounts, and overpayment claims and collections are about the same. Page 3, I didn't see any big significant changes in workforce data. Less job orders posted, and I think those are just because what becomes available to us. And then page 4, unless you saw anything, I didn't see anything significant in changes. On page 5, we have a little bit more. We have about 25 more youth in our comprehensive case management program at 242. And that program continues to flourish and grow. We're serving the 14 to 21-year-olds, 24-year-olds. Yeah. And that's really it under that section, unless you had questions.
I had a question under the children's services section. So it looks like the children entering custody went up pretty dramatically.
Absolutely. So I don't remember if last month we knew that spiked. And we correlated, not just us, in the trustee meeting yesterday, all the systems have spiked, but school coming back in, teachers as mandated reporters, they hadn't seen the kids during the summer. They're now assessing family dynamics, they're hearing things, so we did get some more calls from school systems and other mandated reporters. So we're thinking that's the spike, but we definitely are watching it because we were down to like 189 during the summer. So
what about October? I mean, do you have a sense of what the number
211.
was?
It's a little bit higher. So it's not, we've not seen it. But again, if you get a new referral and there's actually genuine concerns, you're working with the family at the very least for the first 30 days. So they're probably still within that assessment piece. Now, if there's truly concerns there that need to be rectified beyond a 30-day, then they're going to transition the case to ongoing. So those numbers could be consistent if the barriers aren't resolved in that first 30 days. So definitely next month we'll be able to see.
Okay.
But it is concerning for us too, but definitely, I mean, if there's kids that are at risk. And then sibling groups, we see more and more sibling groups. So if there's a family of 2 or 3 or 4 kids, then that also correlates to more kids coming in when you're removing a whole family of children. Yeah, I was gonna pinpoint that number too. Child support numbers, very consistent.
Kelly Jo, going back
Oh,
up,
yeah.
where are we at with the occupancy for the group home on?
It's funny you asked. So, on Halloween, we were there and we had the staff were training, you're conducting training. And we believe that was our last site visit. They were going over personnel records and, the licensing specialist, to whom I know, and she's a really nice person, this is her first license that she had to process. So last week we learned, or on Halloween, we learned that there were a couple more things that we needed to do that we weren't told to do, like, new federal family first legislation requires the background checks have a special code to them. There were a couple other policies that we had to write. So she's here today actually, and we passed. So she's actually gonna just spend some time downstairs, but she went over the personnel files today. Now it just goes to two levels of managers before the certificate or the license is issued. So we're done in totality at this point. They had given us about 2.5 weeks ago the okay to notify the facilities that the kids are at, give them a 45-day notice. So she's hopeful, or they're hopeful, that we'll get our license before Thanksgiving. So Megan, who's our new program manager, we met with Ravenna School District a couple weeks ago. So today's Friday, tomorrow they finalize their class registrations. They need to get physicals and do medical stuff when they transition. We've got to do some school shopping with them to make sure they have the right things they need to go into public school setting. So we're on it, and hopefully by Thanksgiving they'll be in there.
Wow.
Yeah, we're excited. Yeah. What's that? Child support. Did you have any questions on that?
I did.
And while you see through your consent agenda shifting of staff, our numbers are consistent. We're still at about 197 people transition to divisions and promotions, and so that I don't think will ever change, but we're consistent with our staffing numbers.
Now, Kelly Jo, so that's not reflective of the new hires for the group home?
They are this ended in September.
Yeah, so.
It'll be next, so there'll be 5 more.
So it should be, okay.
Yeah. All right, good question.
Okay.
Okay, and then I put a memo in because I wasn't sure, this is the first time we've done some spring cleaning. And so this is the first time we've ever had a vast amount of items that we have available, and we want to donate them to local shelters. So in the memo it just said, and it gives a list of the items that we wanted to donate. Do you recommend I do a resolution? These are old items. The monetary value is not significant, but I can bring something or send something through consent if you want a resolution.
Would you
Go that route?
talk to Joanne about the process for
Donations.
donating county property?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
run it back
So
through
it might
us.
not even all be county property, it might be things that were donated to us too, like
But we wouldn't
furniture and
have
stuff.
tracked,
Yeah.
they're so old that we wouldn't have tracked I wouldn't have had record of who donated what. It's
Yes,
just,
we didn't do that.
Because I know in the past when we donate stuff, we have to put like a specific value sometimes
Okay.
on it. Todd and Joanne would probably
Okay.
be the best.
but you wouldn't have
Just
any
to-
reservations if I donate them to shelters as long as I follow the protocol?
Yeah.
Okay, so just, I wanted to make sure you were aware of that, and I'll do that then. And then last thing, I don't have my thing, I think I just had a review of the 2019 budget. Is that the only thing left on my open agenda?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry. So, we didn't give you a packet. Do you have them? We were in still preparation mode when So I'm gonna kind of lead in, and then Sue, as our fiscal administrator, is gonna help. So this is as of the end of September. And we wanted to kind of give you an idea of where we're at. So
Let me stop. We should have Todd in the discussion about the budget. right? Is this
Well,
about your budget?
It's our budget.
It's not
General
Munis
fund.
budget, it's not county budget, it's our
JFS
state and
budget.
federal budget.
Okay, so not any,
He hasn't been historically when I did a report out, but
okay, I'm just used to having him for all of
Oh,
our budget
yeah.
discussions.
no, these are JFS dollars, and they're just this. We come twice a year to the commissioners and just give a mid-year and kind of an end-of-year kind of an update.
Okay.
The public assistance budget, the public welfare budget is the division that issues cash assistance, food assistance, Medicaid, child care, emergency services, and so.
Alright, I'm gonna pause and just grab him. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I just think, I know it's not the general fund, but it's still relevant.
Pretty sure.
So what did you think of the ISTEM school yesterday?
I didn't go for
Oh,
the
you didn't get the
tour.
tour, okay.
So, I mean, what I saw of it,
Were you impressed?
Yeah, actually it was.
Thanks.
Do you have an extra one of those if Todd wants to follow along? No, you just said it.
You wanna come up here, Todd?
No.
Okay. So we do twice a year budget updates to the commissioners, and so this is kind of, sometimes with the holidays, December is hit or miss when we can get in, but we wanted to give you an idea where we were at as of September 30th. So the first sheet that you have is relevant to our public assistance division. Again, these are all state and federal dollars in public assistance, and the first section talks about our federal pass-through allocations. And so I'm gonna defer to Sue to kind of explain that, but those dollars don't impact our operating budget, but I'll go ahead and let you speak to that.
so the first section, like she said, is the pass-through allocation. So those allocations are really open-ended. We, as much of expense as we have, the portion comes from them and there's no limit to them at all. So, for the federal fiscal year, we spent 2.9 million, and obviously they gave us 2.9 million to spend. Then in the second is our federal fixed allocation. So these are allocations that we get a fixed dollar amount and we spend what we can spend. So you'll see that there are some
Let me
that have.
let me
Okay.
interrupt you. So just to clarify, that these are all, again, all operating dollars. The actual benefits to the clients aren't relevant here. This is what some of them are support
Some of them,
services.
yeah, some of them would be
Now that I
supportive
just looked
services,
down.
but not
Right.
actual food assistance and not actual Medicaid or, so it's
Cash assistance.
maybe participation expenses. So you'll see, we have the allocation, the first column, the second column is what we've dispersed as of 9:30, and then what's available. So, the Fayette, the first one that is sort of a significant amount, Fayette participation, those are direct expenses only. And they are only to help our Fayette participants.
What's that stand for? I'm
Fayette
sorry.
Food
Food
Assistance,
assistance.
Employment and Training.
Okay.
So they're the people that are required to work. So we help them with, maybe uniforms, boots, gas cards to get back and forth, PARTA cards to get, where they need to go. We get an exorbitant amount of money to be able to help. So we've helped everybody that we could help, and, we still have left over. Then the next allocations that have a significant amount left over, the Kinship Caregiver Program, and I don't know if you want to talk about that. It was a program that didn't go into effect until
June.
March. Well, it went into the very first allocation that they gave us. We got the information in end of March. We had to update our PRC plan before we could spend it. So we weren't even able to spend money once we got through that process until like May-ish. So we could only.
This was the governor's dollars that he allocated for support services, specifically child care services for kinship providers in the child welfare side of the house. So he allowed agencies to use TANF dollars contingent on us updating. You got two different versions, but the very first version spoke to this new money. But we didn't get the we didn't get the directives to spend them timely enough to expend all the dollars that he
Gotcha.
allotted. So the balance rolls over to the next part, but that's why you see a significant balance in that section.
Okay.
So then the next one that is kinship caregiver, it's included in the 19, but we have until 2020 to spend it. So we should not have a problem with that at all.
Is that the only place that he allocated more funds for kinship? Or was
As
there?
of now, there's new dollars that are coming
Yeah,
at the first of
I've
the
been
year.
reading, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And then with the next pot of money, the TANF regular, that has what we call retros that are available. And we do a back to school program that ends September 30th. So we are able to pay those invoices in October, November, and December and backdate to this grant. So we should be able to spend the majority of that money as well once we get through the end of December. Those trickle in from Gabe's and from Burlington. So we pay them, pay them as they come in, and then we backdate to that old grant because the service actually happened prior to September. So that's the reason for that. And then the same for our CCMEP, TANF, admin, and regular in the state allocation. Even though it's a state allocation, they changed the date to, service date to September. So we also have the ability to backdate those. So we have still some of our contract expenses that the invoices are just coming in, and we'll be paying those in October, November, and December. We just haven't gotten the invoices yet from our providers, so.
And so we're in good shape relevant to public assistance. However, we have used incentive dollars that we've received through food stamp incentive dollars to support our child welfare division because of how tight that budget has been. And also, the state announced to us about 6 months ago that there's a 25% reduction in Medicaid. So enhanced Medicaid funding. This is on a state level. So we've been very cognizant about that reduction. It correlates to about $75,000 for the public assistance division, but we've not replaced positions. We've been very lean. So we're good with that reduction, but I just wanted to make mention that there is a reduction in this division based on the state statute, and that our incentive dollars for this we've been using to support child welfare.
So, Kelly Jo, what exactly is the Medicaid enhanced?
What is it?
Mm-hmm.
So is it a reimbursement?
It's
To get it in a reimbursement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we spend it,
Yes.
we can draw it down. But it was originally for the new system, the OBWP system that replaced our CRIS-E system.
Okay.
So if people were working in the new system, they allowed them to, it's mostly RMS hits, so they allowed them to hit the enhanced Medicaid, which we only have to match at 25% instead of regular Medicaid, which we matched at 50.
Oh.
So it was an incentive to get our people on board in the new system, I believe, and get it up and running. And now that it's up and running, they're still allowing it, but there's been a little cutback on it, yes.
Okay.
And then also our S-CHIP up top, the other federal pass-through, the State Child Health Incentive Program. That was, I think our match was like right around 4.5%, and that increased to 15% this fiscal year. So there'll be a little bit, I think between the two, it was like $111,000 hit that we're gonna take from those, but we will be able to absorb that.
But at the end of the day, our disbursements are less than our allocation, so we are in a positive place in public assistance. And then the next division, is this the new packet, child support?
Mm-hmm.
So this division by nature and history is a flat funded division. Despite efforts in this last budget, the governor and the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services did not increase any immediate dollars, but we still maintain. So I'll let Sue talk about that, and so you know, we've used some incentive dollars to just have somewhat of a padding for child support. Again, we've used those to support child welfare. So, but we're very lean, but we have no turnover in this division. It's pretty solid. But go ahead, Sue.
Okay, so the top one is the federal pass-through. So that is 66% of any of our eligible expenses for child support we get federal dollars for. So that was right around 1.1 million that we got for that. The second is a federal allocation for training, and that actually goes through the end of the year. And they just went to their fall conference, so we'll be spending the rest of that here as we get their request for reimbursements in. And then the third one is the state, so that's the fixed allocation, the state match, fixed at $239,000. We actually spent $542, so it shows an available in the negative of $300,000. What that doesn't show is the 34% that you guys provide us for our 4D contracts. That would normally come off that figure, and our system just doesn't have the ability to take it off of there. So that and our non-4D poundage that we collect every month, we collect right around $7,000 to $8,000 a month for that. That's not reflected in
For
there.
the child support.
Correct. And then any money that we are able to send to child support. So we had a little bit of IM money, and I actually got some IM money from another county as we do our transfers and trades with other county. So we were able to send them about $29,000 this year to help also with that. So we have a really good healthy cash balance in child support, because in the past years we've been able to spend our whole 533 allocation, which is right around $150,000 to them every year, to help keep them stable where they are. And we're still good with our cash balance in child support. We have no issues there at all.
Then the next division is our workforce division, and that's under the consortium of government body Area 19. And I don't know how long ago, but some areas, workforce areas, maintain budget and control over the fiscal. And Portage, in this area, we elected to do our own fiscal, each county. I don't know how far back that went. Years.
10 years, at least 10 years, I would say.
So while Craig is the director over the area relevant to policy and programming, each county oversees their own budget. We work in tandem with them though, so again, this is kind of straightforward.
Yeah, this one is very straightforward. This is all, actual expenses coming from WIOA. So we got our allocations in, we've totally dispersed them for 2019, and we're into our new year money right now.
Sorry,
you were clapping me. Oh my God, was that good?
No, we didn't. So the last one, on paper looks really good, but I want to talk about some ongoing concerns that we have with our Children's Services Division. And so I'll let you go through and explain this on paper, but then we'll go through and speak. So, you might recall a couple meetings ago that all 88 counties received new monies, child welfare systems. We received a little bit under or around $600,000. Under. So I'll just state that money is gone, so you know that, for relevant to residential costs and other expenses. So anyways, I want you to go ahead and speak to that.
So this first section is called Federal Quarterly Allocated, and all this is related to our RMS hits. And we get reimbursed for our RMS hits that for 4E, which is a federal program. We get reimbursed about 6 months after the hits actually occur and get applied to our financials. So this.
And the hits are that staff that are working when they get a random moment sample and it says from the state, what were you doing on this date at this time? They have to mark a category of what work they were. So based on their productivity and what work they were doing, that correlates to.
So it allocates our indirect costs, really. So all of our salaries, supplies, all of our administrative costs that you can't say, like, I work just for this one grant. That's the system that they use to allocate our indirect costs. So every quarter we get 354 hits. Everybody that's a case manager that works with clients hits these hits, and it comes up with a percentage at the end of the quarter, and then the percentage is applied to those indirect costs, and that's how we know how much comes out of each grant. It's the only way that we can determine that. So because the reimbursement is 6 months behind, this figure here that's showing available in that federally allocated just hasn't come to us yet. So that will come to us, and it will show as an expenditure as soon as it goes through the process. Then our fixed allocations, as you can see in general, we are in the negative. What's a really good thing though about the state of Ohio right now is that we are able to trade money between counties. So we have our ECOTA group, our Eastern Central Ohio. We meet as a fiscal group as well, and we actually just met Tuesday. And we put on a spreadsheet how much money we need, and if we have money left over, and then at the meeting, okay, I'll give you money this, I'll give you money this. So right now, at my last count, I've been given about almost $54,000. So of that negative 76, we've already recouped about 54,000 of it. And that money, we won't actually see the money until February when we do our closeout for the quarter, but we'll know it's coming.
Is that sort of like in the NOCCOG where if you don't use it, you lose it? So
Right.
counties are more inclined to give it to you, but it still stays
Yeah.
in their
The
allocations.
state promotes us doing that too, and you guys have a resolution on file, but yeah,
Yeah.
they don't want to see it go back if it can be shared and, so, yeah, it's 6 months ago, we received 84,000 from Ashland County from Children's Services, and so, it's wonderful that we are able to help each other, so yeah, absolutely.
So really, would this figure have been larger then if you had not received that?
Would
from-
you have factored that 85 into this would have been
Yes,
factored in?
yes.
Yeah, so that would have been.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then the state allocations, the only thing that we have left in our state allocation is $7,200 in Chaffee state match, and what we use is we use that to match what the feds give us for federal Chaffee, and we just weren't able to use it all. We used all our federal allocation for Chaffee, but because of the timing, federal Chaffee is for independent living, so for our kids that are 14 to, 21. We get that pot of money, and we also get a TANF independent living pot of money. We have to use the Chaffee first, and then we use the TANF. There's rules about how we use it. So that's the only reason that 7,200 was left over, just we didn't have any more federal Chaffee to use, so we couldn't match it.
And then the levy?
The levy, yep, we got the 2.9 in, and we used every last dime of it to get caught up on our last batch of invoices in, so we got that in July and August.
Yeah, and you recall we came to you and asked if you were supporting me going to the auditor and asking for an advance on our levy dollars, and that helped us. And so in summary, on paper, we look good. In reality, and it's just the nature of all 88 counties that have been hit with the opioid epidemic, and while these new dollars were great, like in Franklin County, their new dollars really helped them for 3 weeks of services.
Right.
It's not, Speaker Householder was at our trustees meeting yesterday, and he was a great supporter of us getting that $50 million across the state, and we had a really rich dialogue with him about transformation. I know the governor announced it, but the child welfare system has been calling for it to build. We definitely are gonna need new dollars, but definitely new dollars on the front end to try to prevent kids from coming into the system at all. And so I talked to him about our group home, and while it's a great initiative and we know it's the right thing to do, it's also a cost saving measure, and that's the reality of it. We were in crisis in December when I came to you, and we froze overtime and we reduced contracts, and we did creative things to not have to come to you for general funds or lay anybody off, and we made it through. But the reality is all 88 counties are still struggling because our numbers are not going down, and when the average residential placement cost is $7,000 a month, and that's the reality. It's sad. The Franklin County director yesterday talked about he has a child in residential placement, and his daily cost is over $1,100 daily for a child. Daily for a child that has a lot of trauma issues and special needs. But it shouldn't be about dollars. It should always be about protecting kids, and we are all about protecting kids. But the reality is this division is not in the near future going to be at a place where we're at surplus. We wished for it, hoped for it. And so where we're at is relevant to where we need to be in the future as far as being in a good place. We're about 60 to 90 days out with residential invoices, paying them. We're paying monthly, but we were really backed up. We were far beyond that. couple of our county contracts are delinquent. We're paying, they're just delinquent. And so, as you see, we get reimbursed. And now we're not a Protect Ohio, we were a Protect Ohio County with 11 or 12 other counties. That's went away as of October 1st. We used to get an allocation every month of about $200,000, all 11 of us through this, it's been for years, but the pilot went away. So now we don't get this upfront money anymore. Now we wait to get the reimbursement. So it's like somebody that's on a strict budget. We are living paycheck to paycheck, allocation to allocation. And as we get bills, we pay bills. And so we're okay. I just wanted to make you aware of that people are getting paid. It's just, this is the nature of child welfare right now. And hence why we thanked Speaker Householder yesterday, but we also said to him, can we count on you? Because in the next budget, there's gonna be a big ask of the legislature for more child welfare dollars because we're not out of crisis. And you know that on the other scope with the sheriff and the jails. I mean, we're still all dealing with opiate crisis, whether it's kids in care or people in jail, we're still dealing with that.
But at least we're going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Before, they froze our funding.
Absolutely.
And they flat funded, even though we were dealing with the opiate epidemic. It seems like everyone was worried about the addict and not necessarily the children.
Absolutely.
And they weren't giving us any extra funding.
No, I absolutely think and on the state level, we're in the right direction. And I think right
Just
now, we're just
need
being
more.
honest. Yeah, and I am gonna invite Senator Eklund back to Portage to give him an update and hope that you guys can come and talk too, because I think we do need advocacy on that end. We're not gonna wait for the state to give us more money. We're gonna meet in the next 30 days, and very well at the first of the year, we might be needing to reduce some contracts and talk about efficiencies with some of like our indirect costs that we're paying.
So how does that work when you reduce contracts then? Do you notify the providers?
Absolutely.
And then they,
Yeah,
okay.
and like we did with passages regarding the workforce division, I would want to give any provider an advance notice without.
I know, that was
yeah.
my next question is how much notice do you give them? Because I mean,
I would give them more than
I was
6
gonna say,
months.
some of the contracts, like say 30 days, but we've always done more than, as soon as we knew.
And we gave passages about over a year, and that would be the same thing. I just want to be proactive. We've been proactive up to this point. I can't create any more dollars than what we have, but it definitely, that's kind of where we're going. We need our staff. In 2016, right before the crisis hit in Portage, we had about 58 staff in children's services. Today we have 60. We're not heavy in staff, you know, so for that, we're very, very lean.
there's still the need, just not enough money.
Absolutely, and it's not unique. Every county,
Has
I mean, there's 20 of us on the trustee board, and we're in a much better place. We passed our levy. There's some counties that don't have levies, you know, and without the Portage County citizens and these levies, who knows where we would be. So we're so fortunate that Portage County recognizes the need. I mean, I can't say enough. We didn't sleep the other night just waiting for the final, but that would be a travesty. So just transparency, that's it. I just want you guys to be aware of, and we'll be bringing some more efficiencies to you after the first of the year, but we
How
gotta do
does
that.
this play out with our working together to make sure you make it to the end of the year where you need to be?
We're paying bills through the end of the year, so we're not,
Okay.
no one's not
So you
gonna get a
don't feel
payment from them.
like
I'm not
you're
asking for
running-
general fund dollars at this time.
Okay.
I mean, again, we're communicating with the individuals, and so payments are going out. It's just, we're not within 30 days.
Okay.
And so like one of our providers, we pay about $125,000 a month to this residential provider, one provider. And when we were in a horrible spot, we got behind. They're getting that money from us every month. The problem is there's still that delinquency piece. So I had communicated to them and just said at the first of the year, we'll be making you 1.5 months to get you caught up. And so, I mean, that's how we have to do it, but that's $175,000 to one provider going out 1 month. It is a lot of money, hence why the whole group home thing that we hope to reduce some costs there and bring kids closer. So I don't think I'm at a place where I'm asking for general fund dollars as much as I just want you to be aware of where we're at. In the same place we were at last year at this time, but Last year was
I
worse.
think we're a little better.
Yeah, last year was worse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 500 and some thousand that we got from the state recently really put us in a decent spot. And so we're continuing. I just want to be transparent. I don't want,
Okay.
you know, to think that we're in a great place and we're not. We're making it, and we're continually looking, never to put kids at risk, but always trying to look at when kids are ready to step down out of these facilities, we're doing it timely and not allowing kids to linger in placements longer than they have, because that's a crazy
Your other
process.
divisions are doing well,
Yes.
and this one has always been a challenging one because, like I said, for some reason, they didn't feel the need to add additional funding for here due to the opiate epidemic, which now I'm glad they've changed that and they're starting to, but like I said, they're a little behind the 8 ball because the need is still there.
There's new money coming relevant to, what's the name of the fund? January.
It's for the multi-systemic youth.
So those dollars that are coming to 88 counties can be used for residential placement specifically. We have a formula 88 counties have. We're gonna get an additional 200,000 January sometime. That will help us to get current and caught up with those bills. But these are one-time pots, you know, they're not, they would be great to have them in our monthly allocations, but it's not. But so that's gonna be a good thing. We very well might have to come to you in February and ask for you to support us getting early levy money again, just again, as we're trying to catch up. But we are better than we were last year at this time, much better. And we're very grateful to have the levy pass and so, yeah. So that's what we had, just a presentation and an update, and we'll come
You know
back.
what, I appreciate it because, you know, it's one of the things that I'm gonna make a recommendation for next year is for our enterprise zones as well as like the JFS, that you guys report to us on judges, because since you're not general fund, we don't really
No, right.
see a lot, I mean, and I think it would just be a good thing, and I'm really glad, you know, that you're proactive in bringing this to us.
And just so you know, what I'm sure you know, the auditor is always our checks and balances. She recently showed us things that she thinks we can, you know, become more lean on, and she's right. So she validates our reality that it is what it is, but we have a lot of expenses, and never to put a child at risk, but we do need to look at being more lean and efficient in some of our services. So.
And you understand why that one account couldn't have been created?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
It
even
was
though
my
she told
fault.
you it was, yeah.
Yeah, that was, we worked that out, that was the
Okay.
trust money or the will money, so we're good.
Okay, good.
I think we should, you have executive sessions
Yep.
that you need, I think we should pause and
Oh.
have our public comment
Okay.
and then
That's
bring
fine.
you guys back up.
That'd be
So,
fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were past 11 o'clock.
I didn't either.
Okay, who was first, Amy, for, who
Which
gave us?
form came in first?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, you've been here, well, it doesn't matter, Brian, do you care?
No, I don't care, they can go first.
Okay. Would you like to come up?
Yes. Go ahead, yeah.
My name's Amanda Griffiths. I live here in Portage County. I'm here for some answers as far as, can you guys tell me who the commander of the jail is? And then these are the files that are coming in with the jail beatings for the sheriff office.
The sheriff is the overall commander and chief for the
Okay, because
jail.
then my brother just put in for a discrimination retaliation, and I just filed it, and it states here that, the commander was supervising for the beating. And I want that out in the open for all to know, and, then we have like 28 complaints, I do believe, for the beatings in the jail.
Plus the part of unexplained death.
And then the unexplained deaths and things like that. So as a county, we need to get this in the light for all to see and be investigated, and that's our rights. And then I wanted the camera footage that they keep on keeping away from us. I did do the sunshine laws. I filed this stuff August 28th of 18. They
Do you
did the
have-
beating of my brother July 12th into the night of the 13th when they took them by SUV alone to the prison.
Okay. Amanda, I just want to let you know, we obviously take these matters very seriously, and we pass them on to the proper authorities. Just so you know, we don't control the jail. I mean, the
Right, I
sheriff is
understand that, and that's what this is about.
elected
Okay.
official. I mean, we can pass these concerns on to the appropriate authorities to look into these, which is what we've been doing. Now you stated that you asked for the camera footage over a year ago. Do you have a copy of your request?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
the copies of what I wrote because, again, it's county, so they lose everything else in that place. So I took pictures of mine and my mother's complaint, and I do believe it's 4 pages long for each.
Okay.
And I'm even suing for the underwear because they beat them so bad that they were so bloody, and it is theft. Yeah. So who's the proper authority and how does this work as far as chain of commands and all that? Where does it go from here? On your part? With all these?
So the complaints are, we are getting complaints, we are forwarding them to the sheriff, to the prosecutor. We are noting them. It's something, as we've expressed, that we are concerned about.
It
You're
should be a major
welcome.
concern. It is ridiculous on how many and what their stories are and the dignity issues, inhumane,
You're welcome to
laying there
send-
naked for days and being watched.
You're welcome to send us the complaints, especially if you feel that they've been lost.
And
We
Kevin
will
Coleman,
forward
I do
them.
believe, is in charge of the medical over there, correct?
Pullman Professional Service. They have
Yeah,
outside nurses.
because there's some
and things
people
like
that is not even on medication or through Kevin Coleman, and then they sit there and give it to the people of the opiate epidemic, and then it's like they give psych drugs. I don't think so. We're gonna have to look into that too as well. And then nursing there in that place, I do believe it was only an LPN that was putting stitches in my brother's mouth. And we even got the measurements from Lorraine, from the prison that they go to first, before they go to their home one. And they got the measurements. So I would even like the measurement of that boot to whichever officer did that to my brother.
And you know what, again, if you wanna put these concerns in writing and you can send it to us, what we can do is just pass them to the, as Commissioner Clyde said, to the sheriff, to the prosecutor, because obviously, we take these
I've
matters
done the
very
Sunshine
seriously.
and that Freedom Act,
Yeah,
and I did it with the Channel 19 News, Paul Orlowski. And I
okay,
do believe it was on the 5th of October. And then on the 3rd of October, one of the officers have stepped up with the Whistleblower Act and have gotten a redacted form of a 4-page thing. It's got 2 sheriff and 2 COs mentioned in there, and then the person that wrote the report.
okay.
So right there, they already exposed that in the jail. They are even told what to say in their reports. They changed the cameras that's in the place. We as taxpayers paid for those things that were $100,000, as I understand, as far as a money amount. It is our right to get that footage when they have nothing to hide nothing, and they can't come up with nothing. And then in that redacted form that they have put in from the police officer that stepped up to speak out for all, it's the double booking, the way that they treat the people, and I mean, they've actually seen it, and there's more to come. This is only the tip of the iceberg.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and letting us know your concerns. We'll pass this along.
It's a big,
that you
major
were
concern. It
here
shakes me from the
today
inside
to
out
the
with every
sheriff's
fiber in me.
office. And, again, thank you for speaking out today.
Thank you for your time.
And we will make sure, I'll make sure that Amy will send this along to the prosecutor and the sheriff, just to let you know.
Yeah, because I understand it's Prosecutor Vic Lucci holding it up as far as letting the outsiders in to investigate over all of them. So he's the only one stopping us from getting the outside coming in to investigate over all of them, which should be happening. Yeah, when you have everybody covering up for everybody and videos and stuff like that, and then time stamps and pictures, and then putting that in place of that, it's all lies, because my brother smiled in the picture to show his family he had stitches in his mouth. Yeah, that's pretty sad. This county is just, I'm selling my home, I don't care to live in this county anymore. I pay taxes for them cameras, and if they're not right, they should have somebody in there doing them right. There should be IT or something in there fixing it. There should be private investigators, whatever, to get whatever they erased. There is rights to get that too, and they can get every erased piece. I know that for a fact.
All right, well, I gave you my card. I'm sure Sabrina will give you,
Yeah.
can give you her card. They're right there. You can send us information, and
And
we
we'll get
again
it.
appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you go, Amanda. Amanda, I just wanted to verify, you said that you requested the camera footage over a year ago, and you
Yes.
have the date as August 28th, 18?
Yes.
Okay, because I
And
just
he knows
wanted.
that too, and then I want all the camera footage of when I asked for it the 28th, because then I was in that little room with the camera above it. And I want it January 15th when I was in there again. And then it was even one of the detectives in my mother's face spitting, and the way that we're treated is not right. And it was Detective Lincoln, correct?
Right.
Knew. And he wasn't even on our case. It was Cinta and Commander Limbert, or Chief Limbert.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, I will,
thank
Amy,
you.
I'll give you this, so we can send it to the prosecutor.
Sharon,
Sharon.
you can come.
And thank you, Amanda, for patiently waiting.
Anytime. My pleasure. And I'm not going away or stopping until something's done about it. Thank you.
Take care.
Brian? No, it's Brian.
Okay, remember some time ago, I was asked if there was a problem that could be talked about before I went to court for anything, why that would be appreciated. Well, we have such a problem in that the minutes for the solid waste district do not seem to be available for before 2005. And that, you know, the Public Records Act requires a public body to keep its records available according to its retention schedule, and the retention schedule for minutes is permanent. They're permanent records, so that's a problem. And I've raised that issue to Chris Maduri, and I've heard nothing back from that.
So what you're saying is, even though there's a retention policy for records, minutes are exempt from that they are
Well, they're-
permanent
They're
records?
permanent records,
Okay, and there has to be permanent, okay.
and the law requires them to be organized in such a way that they can be found, and it seems really can't be found.
Okay. Okay, we'll look into that.
How that-
Okay. Is there anything else, Brian?
No, that's all.
Okay. We'll check into it and see if we can find out any information for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. I think that's it, right, Amy? Pull up the link. She can come back up. Do you need to executive sessions?
It's G4, well, G1 is compensation, yeah, I was gonna say, let's do two. We'll go, are you ready? I'll make a motion to go in executive session for G4, preparing for conducting and reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second, roll call Amy?
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.